Good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube viewers. I'm Rebecca Sosmarski with the Register Mail, and I'm here today with the owners of Hinchliff-Pearson-West, Carrie Walters, Alan Palmer, and Todd Ettinger. Thank you guys for being with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to start with a question. How the three of you own the business now, but how did you come to work here originally?
Well, I started when I was a junior in high school, just kind of hanging out at the funeral home, and my high school youth leader at the time was a funeral director here, so got me a little bit interested in that, and went to school and graduated in '93, and I've been here ever since.
Great.
I was hired on in 1991. I was actually looking for a job at the time, and a gentleman that was working here was retiring. His name was Roger Hannum. And so there was a position that became open, and they hired me, and I've been here since 1991, replacing Roger Hannum.
And I think my first experience here was right after Alan was hired. I served a summer internship here in the summer of 1991. I was here for 10 weeks, I think, over that course of that summer. At that time, of course, Alan took the job, so I didn't have a position here. So, yeah. So I went on and became licensed and worked in other places. And then in 1996, when they had a position open looking for a director, I feel I must have made some sort of an impression because they reached out to me, the ownership at that time, and asked me to come up and interview, and it kind of worked out from there, and relocated my family here in 1996.
Great. And being an intern obviously is much different than an owner.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So I've kind of had the full gamut, I guess you'd say, here.
Yeah.
Speaking of ownership, I know that you've each worked together for more than 20 years, or worked here more than 20 years individually before you became the owners. What are some lessons that you've learned from each other over time, and some strengths that you feel each other brings to the table?
Go ahead, Todd. Carrie's had to step out for a moment. She was coughing. That's one of her strengths.
Yeah.
Leave
I
at
was,
the right time.
you know, it was, I was thinking about that, and a strength I know that Carrie brings to the table when she works with a family. She's very in tune with them, and very devoted to that family and that situation, and she's formed quite a following of people now that in years following, and they have another death experience, and they only want to talk to Carrie, or we want to, and that's, I think, a wonderful asset for all of us. Alan also, I think, does a great job with families. He's very personable, and he's very flexible. He drops himself into situations sometimes and picks up on that really well. We're very fortunate, too, to have Alan here all of these years, even prior to us becoming the owners, because of his talent in the, I guess you'd say, the back room, and his restorative abilities and capabilities, and making sure that everyone's loved one looks like they should, and we're very fortunate for that.
Well, thank you, Todd. That was nice of you. Well, nice words.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's easy to say when it's true.
Well, of course, Carrie, we're talking about some of the positive things that each of us bring to the table, and Todd had mentioned, your connection with family has been. I think Carrie also brings, and I don't mean to say this as a sexist type of comment, but she is a female. She certainly has that angle with people, and she can bring that female touch, so to speak, to making arrangements with families and all that. She's easy to talk with. So
I think so.
yeah, of course, Carrie. Yeah. And Todd, I think one of Todd's attributes is his attention to detail. He takes a long time meeting with families, and the reason for that is he wants everything as specific and as they would like to have it. And
I would agree.
and not only just meeting with families, but in the business part of Hinchliff-Pearson-West, he takes care of a lot of the book work and stuff like that, and I think that's important that he has that attention to detail. So.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I was like,
Yeah.
too, when you took over as business owners, obviously that was a change as well. What are some things you have to worry about now as owners and things you're adjusting to that you never had to worry about before?
You okay? Can you talk? I'll talk if you don't want to. I'll answer for her.
Sorry.
She's got a coughing issue, but there's so much more on our plate now. Our plate is so much has so much more, and it's overflowing at times. But we're hungry, and so we'll certainly take care of our plate. The reason I say more is we not only had to do our job before, which was making arrangements and taking care of all the back work, but now we have to take care of the books and decide on what advertising that we do. Who do we hire? We've had to hire people and insurance and et cetera, and everything else that deals with the business. And we just we were never groomed for that part of the business. We've always been groomed for making arrangements and doing the things in the back that we've always done and still do. I think that's been probably the biggest challenge for us, but we're doing well, I think.
Well, and all of those responsibilities, like, it happened last year, and then the other day I'm pulling in the parking lot, I'm like, I think we have the Japanese beetles again. They're on these trees, So it's that type of thing, too, that thinking on a bigger scale on what all we're responsible for now. And that kind of, like last year when those hailstorms came through, and I didn't think anything about it, and the roofer who did the roof here, I saw him out at a restaurant. He's like, hey, I'm going to stop and look at your roof because, there's been some hail damage. And I thought, oh, I never even thought about that. But it's a learning process to learn what all we are responsible for now. And it's can be overwhelming, but it's doable for sure.
Definitely a lot of operations, a lot more on your plate, like Alan said.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How about from all those years? I'm sure there's a lot that you have done you're proud of, or families you've reached out to that you help, but what would you say is your biggest accomplishment at Hinchliff-Pearson-West?
I think just becoming an owner, because I really don't think that's not what I set out to do, was to become an owner. I set out to be a funeral director and serve families, and I didn't really think that this would happen in my timeline, and I just feel very blessed that was an opportunity for myself, and I think these guys would agree.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
To tag on to that, I think that is a great accomplishment. And this just happened, it brought it back to me. This happened this week, a comment that was made to me, but it realizes how much support we've had from the community in this year and a half since we took over, of people that are so relieved and happy for us that it's people who've been here for all these years who have been able to step in and take over, and people feel comforted knowing that it's going to continue providing the best, most professional service that's available here in our community. So that's been very rewarding just to hear that feedback. And like I said, I just had an experience this week, and somebody said, I was so relieved to see that they sold it to somebody who's been here, and I knew that things would be taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with these guys. I'm certainly proud of having my partners. I'm proud of each one of them. And now, as far as me on a personal level, I take a lot of pride. I don't know if there's something I could say that I'm proud of, but I take a lot of pride in the work that I do in the cosmetics and reconstruction, the embalming. And for me, that's where my pride is held. I really strive to make sure that everything is at the top. And I feel that, I think we reached that. I think we are the best at doing that, so.
Great. And like you say, it's nice to know that that's right in the community here, and been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time with me today.
Well, thank you,
Well,
Rebecca.
thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. And YouTube viewers, you can check out more with the owners of Hinchliff-Pearson-West this Sunday in the Register Mail.